I'm going to the fire. I appreciate it. Let me get up in the morning.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank all of the people who helped sponsor today's Shiur L'Zeicha Nishmas Rav Shimshon Chaim ben Menachem Chol Zera Shimshon. Le'iloi Nishmas. Tonight's Siyum and Shiur is Le'iloi Nishmas Hinda Bas Rav Shaul Alei Shalom Mordechai ben Rav Avram Olav Shalom. A Zivig Nachem V'Hagen to Rivka Tziro Bas Edel Menucha and Rivka Riko Bas Batsheva. And Le'iloi Nishmas Esther Bas Rav Avram Olav Shalom and Rabbi Yezer ben Rav Chaim Yitzchak Olav Shalom. Yeshua's Absuras Teres La'achenu Kol Beis Yisrael V'Shalom on Kol Yisrael. Also, another sponsor, Le'iloi Nishmas Yehuda Leib ben Avram Mordechai Olav Shalom Yonim Echol ben Yehuda Leib Olav Shalom. For the Chayalim and Bluma Rivka Bas Avigail Charna. Another sponsor, the Schus of Klal Yisrael sponsor, another sponsor, Schus Parnosa for all of Klal Yisrael. And La Hatzlochas Esther Shilas Bas Lilian. Le'iloi Nishmas Briget Bas Avraham Alei Shalom and Chai Rivka Bas Avraham Alei Shalom. An anonymous sponsor says Hashem knows. The Brian Shalom Veis. Fine. Hashpaz Toives un Hagefen. Hatzlocha Gesund Parnosa Nachas. Meir ben Miriam, Yaakov ben Mara, Miriam Bas Braina, Goldele Bas Shaindel Gittel, Daniel Avram ben Yehudis, Moshe Mordechai ben Esther Riva. Le'iloi Nishmas Reb Meir ben Yaakov Olav Shalom. Moras Mara Bas Reb Shmuel Alei Shalom, Chaim David ben Meir Olav Shalom, Shmuel ben Reb Meir Olav Shalom, Moshe ben Alter Mordechai Olav Shalom, Moras Brana Bas Reb Simcha Alei Shalom, Benachem ben Reb Shalom Olav Shalom, and Moras Sheindel Gittel Bas Reb Zev Alei Shalom, and a Zivug Hogun Bekarov, a Shidduch for Shmuel ben Miriam, and Rezel Bas Sorah. Tonight's special Monday night shiur is Le'iloi Nishmas the Zera Shimshon, whose Yortzeit is today. We're going to be finishing now Masechtas Baba Metzia Yerushalmi. It's a Masechta which my Chavrusa Rav Naftali and I started. When we started, it was the two of us, and since then, Rav Moshe has also come and joined us, Baruch Hashem, so we've doubled a command in size. And Baruch Hashem, we're now in the middle of Baba Basra, and there'll be a scene for Baba Basra, Bez Hashem too, Viter and Viter. So I want to thank all of those who sponsored. Everybody should have Hanoah. Ich bin zicher that the Zera Shimshon has Hanoah, that you're having Hanoah as well, that we're all having Hanoah. And this Siyum that we're making now, as well as the limud of the Sefer afterwards, we'll learn a special shtickle tonight on Misas Tzadikim, on what a tzaddik means to the Dar. We'll learn a shiur on that. As Hashem Yisbarach, it should be a schus, hagefen, hatzlocha, gezund, parnosa, nachas, for all of those who are here in attendance and all of your families. Baruch Hashem, und ganz Klal Yisrael. The end of Masechtas Baba Metzia says, the person built a wall in between neighbors, have a wall in between two reshuyos. The wall falls down, and we don't know who the space in the wall belongs to. Whose space is? Rav Shmuel, Chadam mechzel lazeh v'mechzel lazeh. The space is 50-50. The Chadamar, kulei lazeh v'kulei lazeh. Each person has the ganza. My nafkamina asks Yerushalmi, what's the difference? My nafkamina, says the Gemara, Modza Metzia. If a person found a Metzia, man, the Omar, Mechza Lazeh, the one who says half and half means Mechza Vehelech Lazeh, Mechza Helech Lazeh. If a Metzia is in between, found in that space, so then the Metzia will belong 50-50 because it's Chetzi. And the one who says Kula Lazeh, Hamoitzi Zoicha. Whoever finds it is Zoicha, because Kulei Lazev and Kulei Lazev. Hadron Aloha Bais Valiyah Vesalika Mesachtes Baba Metzia. I also, since I'm thanking, I also want to give a special thanks to a very special person who has a shaykhus to this place. His name is Scheiner. He motivated us to learn Yerushalmi. When he made a siyum in Yerushalmi together with Rabbi Koren and all of Yerushalmi, I said to myself, if Laser finished Yerushalmi, what do I look like? So he's one, I have to give him credit where credit is due. He is a motivator. He's such a big person in so many different things, but I have a personal debt of gratitude for him and learning Yerushalmi. That's why we're doing this now. Hadronach Mesechtes B'Metziach v'Hadroch Alandat Mesech Metziach v'Hadroch Alandat Mesech Metziach v'Hadroch Alandat Mesech Metziach Hadroch Mesech B'Metziach v'Hadroch Alandat Mesech Metziach v'Hadroch Hadroch Mesech B'Metziach v'Hadroch Alandat Mesech Metziach v'Hadroch Yotzeit Fanech Adonai V'Lev Tzeinim Shetei Tayroschum in the same body Mazev Teman Olam Abba Chanin Baba Roma Baba Nachman Baba Fei Baba Boim Baba Baba Surch Baba Adra Baba Bedor Baba V'Harev No Adonai Let's do a Sorosah B'Pin Pir Samcha Beis Sol B'Ni Kulonu Anachnu V'Tzetzoel V'Samcha Beis Sol Kulonu Yoidei Shamecha V'Lam Desarasach L'Shma Mo'evi Techatzim Tzach Yiloim Hili Yehi Lav Libi Tam B'Chukech L'Man Lo'eva Shalom Lo'i Eshkach B'Kivdecha Kibam Chi Soni Baruch Atah Adonai Lamdeni Chukecha Amen 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 Salavot Madman Fanech Adonai V'Lev Tzeinim Shesamto Chelkeinu Miyoshvei Bais Medrash V'Samto Chelkeinu Miyoshvei Kronis She'anu Mashkim V'Hei Mashkim Anu Mashkim D'Betoy V'Mashkim D'Oram B'Teilim Anu Amelim V'Hei Amelim Anu Amelim Kam Sochar Hei Amelim V'Enim Kam Sochar Anu Rotzim V'Hei Rotzim Anu Rotzim L'Chayei Olam Haba V'Hem Rotzim V'Shachas Shneim V'Atelim Toidim V'Shachas Anshit Avnim L'Echtzimim Ani Avtach Bach Yiratzim L'Fanecha Adonai Elihai Kishem Shazatani L'Sayim Shazatanu L'Sayim Mesechtes B'Metzia Ken Tazreinu L'Hasam Mesechtes B'Machem L'Sayim L'Lmoid L'Lamed L'Shma L'Laser So L'Kayim Eskol Divrei Samut Aresecha V'Yahava ובזכות כל התנועים והמוראים ותמיד החכמים יעמוד לנו בזרענו שלתום שאתם מפינו בזרענו בזרע זרענו עד אוילה יזכיים בנו בסלחך תנחויסך ושכבך תשמור לך והקיצויסך היא תשיחך כי ויהיה בימך ושמחה חיים אוירך יום הבינו שמאלו שבקובוי אדוני אויז לימוי ייתן אדוני יבורך סמוי בשלום Skadavi skadash meidabo Romo duos the asaktos so the aksoye mas so the sagi os machayom the karde yushala yemshafo khamikavo the mekabo khan the fam in arab the so the khan in shamba the as we have to see already at makone the power she the naye power khan guys for basis so help Bagalo is man Kodim in Ruam. Hey, what about Jamarabo? Can you look at the Rav of the Scheiner and the Scheiner of the or Fukanam, you could only try the other in woman. Hey, Shamarabo, and Shabbat, Contact Malay, I'll call you so heaven, woman. Oh, Seshal, I'm in my mouth, who the Rach, Madias, Shamalay, no, I'll call you so heaven, woman. Yeah, you meant Bais I got have a simple learn Chaim. Okay, 30 seconds. Okay. L'chaim. Shkoya. Shimshon Mazel Tov L'chaim. Shimshon Chaim b'Menachem Ohr Chaim. Mazel Tov. L'chaim. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. Good evening, my Rabbi. What a schus to be here. Before we begin, we're going to do Parshas Chukas, page Reish Chav Vav, letter Yud Aleph. Before we begin, I just want to reflect for a moment. What's Titman do? What are we doing here? What's Titman do? Ma nacho simple. I will fragen, I want to ask the oilam. I will fragen. 10 years ago, if someone said to you, who is the Zera Shimshon? If someone said to you, who is the Zera Shimshon? How many people in this room could raise their hand and say, I know who the Zera Shimshon is? I had a story personally with Rabbi Avram Osban, Scheiner Levracha, who was just nifter a few days ago. I was called by Yissi Cherns, who lives over here in Forshay, an old chaver of mine. He said, we have on Friday mornings a Zera Shimshon Shiur. Our Maggid Shiur, Rabbi Pillar, is going away for a couple of days. Can you please give the Shiur? I said, what's a Zera Shimshon Shiur? What is that? He says, that's a very popular sefer. I said, I didn't hear about it. He says, but anyway, if you need someone to give a shiur and it's an opportunity to teach Torah, fine, I'll do it. I walked in at 9:15 on an Erev Shabbos, I think it was Parshas V'Eschanan, and the person who greets me at the door is Rabbi Osban. It's a Scheiner Bracha. I'm holding the Zera Shimshon. He looks in my hand. He looks at the sacred Rav Osban. The Olam heard of Rav Osban, Shiva of Riverdale. A grace of Talmid Chacham.
Yes.
He looks at the sefer and he says, "What is that?" Vasidus. In Yeshiva Shavot, we didn't know what it said. We didn't know what a Zera Shimshon is. We didn't know what it is. Today, if you ask a Yid, what's the Zera Shimshon? I think today we're holding that most people know who the Zera Shimshon is. Hundreds of thousands, very vast. How many? I was just in a taxi. My family and I went away for a few days. The driver picked us up. On the windshield is a Zera Shimshon on his dashboard. He says, I learn it every day. He says, I don't always understand what it says, but I read it, and I've seen a lot of Yeshuas. My chavrusa said to me, I personally, one of my children got engaged a few years ago on Vav Elul, on the Yortzeit of the Zera Shimshon. So the promise that the Zera Shimshon had, which is that if I don't have any kids, he said, I passed away, he had one son, that son was nifter. So he said, if you learn my sefer, you're my kid. Vishinantam levanecha, ela talmidim. Vishinantam levanecha, those are your children. You teach somebody, they're your children. So Zera Shimshon said, if you learn my sefer, then I am going to be your tati. You're my child, and I'm your tati, and I will dich lezachatin for there, and I'm going to help you. And that's Baruch Hashem, and it's unbelievable. So think about it. He was nifter 245 years ago. If he would have been so popular 245 years ago, like other Svarim that are popular, everybody would know who he is. The Teretz is Scheiner nicht gewiss, or maybe a handful of people. Nobody knew. But today, he became a household name in Klal Yisrael. What does that say to us? What's steht in them? It shows that a kesher to Torah is nitzchi. The kesher to the Torah and the kesher to the Rabbi Nishon is nitzchi. It's for Ivik. It's forever. And a person thinks, I'm doing in this world, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning it. I'm making a difference. Look at the Zera Shimshon story. Look how for a couple of 100 years, Scheiner nicht gewiss, nobody knew who he was. And now look how we come here every Thursday night. Every Thursday night, there's a group, 30, 40 people, and the Oilam sits and learns. They come from Pesach, they come from here. They listen, they learn, and the Shiur goes to different places. And whose words are we learning? The Zera Shimshon's words. The Gemara says that tzaddikim are known as Yeshenei Offer. They're known as Yeshenei Offer. We say in our tefillah, mishluft in the ground. But when they say over the words of a tzaddik, then his lips start mumbling. His lips, when you say his words, his lips are moving. We have a schus here, all of you together. We have a schus milosnish the Zera Shimshon shlafen. We don't let him sleep. On Shabbos afternoon, when you want to go to sleep and the kinder are making noise, you say, kinder lo shlufen. And a person's in the ground and will nishlof. He doesn't want to sleep. We're zoicha that the Zera Shimshon shlufnish. He's not sleeping because we're keeping him awake, and that's a big schus for all of us. On a Yortzeit, state that the neshama comes back to the guf. The day of the Yortzeit is a day of the person moved from this world to the next world. It's a zman aliyas haneshama. Today, Baruch Hashem, all of you here who are eating and enjoying the food, and you made brachas, and if you washed, you're going to bench, and everything you did is today a su'udas siyum le'iloi nishmas Zera Shimshon. Your pashat being male his neshama. With that, let's learn some divrei Torah of the Shimshon Chaim ben Reb Nachman Mechol. Page Reish Chav Vav, letter Yud Aleph. The Gemara says, Tzadik Avad Ledoiroi Avad. A tzaddik who has left, a tzaddik who is lost. Tzaddik avad ledoiroi avad. His dar has lost. Mashal adam shavle margolis. Zuk the Gemara, it's a story. I'll give you a mashal. A person had a very precious diamond. It was in his pocket and he lost it. And he's looking everywhere. What happened to my diamond? Where is it? Where is my Margolios? Zok the Gemara. Let me ask you a question, says the Gemara. The diamond is lost to who? Is the diamond, when it's lost, still a diamond? Avada. A diamond doesn't stop being a diamond, whether it's in your pocket or whether it's not in your pocket. Who loses when the diamond is lost? Of course, only the owner. The diamond stays a diamond. The diamond doesn't change. The owner doesn't have it. Zuk the Gemara, when a tzaddik is nifter, the tzaddik is a diamond. He remains as complete and brilliant. He's as brilliant when he's with the door as when he's not with the door. Tzaddikim b'misosam nikran chayim. The Gemara gives a pele de kamashal. The tzaddik, says the Gemara, bechol mokom shehi margolias here. Wherever it is, it's still a diamond. The tzaddik, whether it's here or whether it's not here, that doesn't change. However, it loses, who loses? The Adon, the Bailam loses. The Dor loses because the Dor doesn't have the Tzaddik anymore. Tzaddik Avad, Ledoiroi Avad. His Dor doesn't have him. B'chol mokem shehi ha'yleches imargolis v'hiloi of the ela lebaylo. Azoi zog the Gemara. So the tzaddik himself is a loss to his generation, not to him. Asks the Zera Shimshon, Kosha. The hamisosan shel tzaddikim shteit in the Gemara Sanhedrin rala hem v'rala oilam. It's also not good for them. Number one, how is it only bad for the door if the Gemara in Sanhedrin says it's ralahem? The Gemara says misosan shel tzaddikim is mechaperes. So if it's mechaperes, how could you say that the door lost something? On the contrary, when a tzaddik passes away, there was kapora. The tzaddik was mechaper for the door, so we got a kapora. Had a basic elementary question for the Heilige Zera Shimshon. Is a tzaddik passing away good or bad? Mitzad echad shteit l'doyrei avad, u'mitzad sheni shteit as misa tzaddikim mechaperes. How do we reconcile these two steers in Chazal? The Yesh Loimar, Zok the Zera Shimshon kedarkei b'kodesh, as he always learns with a shtick alumnus. Let's open up this question with another question. Shemitchila hirgish kushya ala pasuk. The pasuk in Yeshaya, Perek Nun Zayin, which he quotes over here, I'll give you the full pasuk. Perek Nun Zayin pasuk Aleph. Hatzadik avod ve'ein ish som alei. A tzaddik is lost and nobody ein ish som alei. Unkeiner, nobody feels it. Nobody takes it to heart. Va'anshe chesed de'esofin. Anshe chesed, people who are balei chesed, gather together. But be'ein maven, which means zaypashtayinish, they don't understand. Ki mipnei horo'on nesef hatzadik. Because of the bad, has the tzaddik been taken away. This is a pasuk in Yeshaya, Perek Nun Zayin, pasuk Aleph. Tzaddik avod ve'ein ish som alei. Says the Zera Shimshon, Eich mekoinen al tzoros ha'olam levisha tzaddik avad. So the Novi says that when a tzaddik passes away, it's a terrible thing. But doesn't the Gemara in Yuma say, Ein tzaddik nifter ba'olam ad shelo noilad tzaddik acher? A tzaddik goes away, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of Klal Yisrael. Ad shenivra tzaddik kemoisoi. So the Zera Shimshon asked the kasha about how could you say that the tzaddik is a margolis when it says it's bad, and he said, let me answer that as we often do with nocha kasha. Is a tzaddik being nifter good or bad? On the one hand, it's a kapara. On the other hand, it's l'chayra bad. But if it's a kapara, so it's not that. Unochtzu dertzu, as he's asking. But when a tzaddik is nifter, kiptoch hatzvayt tzaddik. So if another tzaddik is there, so what's so terrible? Says the Zera Shimshon a few terutzim. A practical teretz v'tiretz. It's true that when a tzaddik passes away, a new tzaddik comes, but it does take a little while for that tzaddik. He's just born. It takes a little while for him to grow up and be a tzaddik. There's a potential at tzaddik. He's a tzaddik in the making. So the next generation will enjoy him. But what about the generation that just lost that tzaddik? That's the first teretz, says the Zera Shimshon. Let's see it inside. Again, Zayne Heilige Werk, like we said before, ich will ihm nicht lassen schlufen. We don't want to let the Zera Shimshon sleep. We want to say his words. We'll keep him awake. Zuk the Zera Shimshon. Mitiritz l'doirei ovid apapi shener l'tzadik acher adainu kotten. He's still small. He'll only be able to teach the next generation. But it's mashmali, his generation loses. L'chayra, the whole world loses. L'chayra tzadikim ra'alo'im v'ra'alohem nami shekol oikshem oisifim yamim. L'chayra they would have more mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim. Wouldn't they be able to do more? So I understand why you're telling me that even though the tzaddik is going to have another tzaddik replacement, it's going to take a while. But you're saying the door is no good. For the ganze Welt is nicht good, and for the tzaddik is also no good. Zuk the Zera Shimshon asoy. Let me explain, says the Zera Shimshon. If you ask a tzaddik, he wants the chaparayim. Shteit in Chazal, when the neshama comes to this world, it doesn't want to come. It doesn't want to come. What does it have to come down to this world? But once it's here, it doesn't want to leave. My son, Rabbi Bear, Rabbi Bear said to my son, when you come to Falsburg, in English, it means you cry when you come, because it's so hard to get used to being here. But after you get used to it, you cry when you go away. Then you don't want to leave. You cry when you come. The neshama is forced to come into this world. He doesn't want to come into this world. The baby's crying when the neshama comes in. Because once the neshama was here and it did, and it did mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim, ventus nachamo. Now it's crying because I'm already here already, and I'm hopping around all the mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim. He's not going to be able to anymore. But to say that the tzaddik is missing something, honestly, he's not missing anything. Shaharei Hatzadik Kvar Hu Sholem Mikol Mokai. A tzaddik who's lived his life the way the Rabbi Shalom wants him to is V'loy Ovad Klub Kimoi Margolius Mamish, like a diamond. A person who lives his life, Lomer Zogi, right? A person wasn't able to do everything he wants to do. I want to remind the Olam, said it over many years ago, a Medrash Tanchuma in Parshas Kisisa. The Medrash says like this: Toiv shnas ha'oived im ma'at im harbeh. Toiv shnas, the years of work are good, whether it's a little bit or whether it's a lot. Says the Medrash Tanchuma, Parshas Kisisa. There were two workers. One worker who worked for the king till he was 70 years old. He started working at the age of 20 and he worked till the age of 70. 50 years, and then he retired. And there was another worker who worked for the king, started at the age of 20, and right after he started, he passed away and was nifter. A person would think, Nebuch, such a person, he mamish was nifter at such a young age, he had so much to accomplish. Nebuch ezavek. Zok the Medrash Tanchuma. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is metayil with him and says, from my perspective, I know you would have worked for 50 years like your chaver. I know that you would have been oisik b'tayr b'maisim tayvim. For me, there's no difference between the 70-year-old and the 20-year-old, because it's I who took you away. Im ma'at, im harbeh. If it's a little bit or if it's lots, you know why? That a person who's an oivid, how much a person accomplishes, that's already up to the Rabbi Shalom. But the Yortzeit, and that's the words of the Zera Shimshon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if I know that your intentions were to do and to learn and do out, I'm going to consider it. Moshe didn't want to die because he wanted to do a tachlis. The Bereshit said, don't worry, you're not losing anything. The falir is garnished. You're not losing anything. And considering it like you did it. Who adin at tzaddik? Over soif. Let's understand the pasuk. Tzaddik ovad. That tzaddik is lost. Ve'ein ish sam alei. And people don't realize. If you're telling me now that the people who really lose out is the Adon, what does it mean, Ein Ish? What do you mean they don't know? They're the ones who are losing out. And then it says, Anshe Chesed Ne'esofim, which means that they do know, because they're called Anshe Chesed. Asks the Zera Shimshon, how do these two psukim miskasher one to the other? And listen to the Yisai he says. Yesh Loimar. The Zera Shimshon Zok Da Gracie Yisai. I'm skipping to the teretz. Bottom of the page Reish Chav Zayin. Shemisas tzadikim efsher tia ba'achas mishloisha sivos. There are three different reasons, possible reasons of why a tzaddik is nifter. Let's go through them one by one. Number one, oy shemeis ba'avoin hador. He was a tzaddik. He should have lived. Why was he nifter? The nation, the dar, the generation wasn't zoichet to have him anymore. The avoin hadar, because of that, he's nifter. One. Two, could be nothing to do with the dar. Nothing to do with the dar. It's his time. Gilek Baruch Hashem, 99 years old. But Moshe Wolfson's a Scheiner Levracha. He's already come out 100 years old. The Mishnah says, Ben Meya is over a bottle, as I state in the Mishnah. A person's lifespan is considered, we said in the Maral Shir, like the Heichal. The Gemara just had the Heichal is compared to a person. The Heichal is 100. Amos says the Maral, a person's years, that's why the Mishnah stops at 100. You can ask me a kasha, you give a bracha that's 120, say kasha. We'll have to answer. But I'll go upon him, the Mishnah stops at 100. Okay? Now, there's sometimes a person is nifter b'avayin hadar. There's sometimes a person's nifter hikiyazman. Oi shakadosh baruch hu maktim lesalkoi ad shu tzadik kedei shechas v'shalom la'yibol b'chet. The Bereshim has cheshbonis. Sometimes a tzaddik is on a good streak, but there's something that Hilula could become a challenge. The Bereshim does him a toiv and takes him away before Hilula anything goes wrong. Half of a fellow. The Zera Shimshon Zok, there's Megalit songs. He doesn't say where he gets it from, but he says there are three different ways a person can pass away. A tzaddik. Zman, Avayin Hadar, or the Bereshim does him a chesed that before Evet Farfoil, Cholila, he should go away as a winner. Kidei shechas v'sham la'yipo b'chet, u'ma'ato. Tzaddik ovad. Let's learn the pshat. Tzaddik ovad. Ve'ein ish som elei. What does it mean, ve'ein ish som elei? What do the people say after the tzaddik passed away? Shemeis. Maybe it was his time. Nothing to do with us. We didn't do it. Ein ish som alev shemeis ba'avoina. Ela she'imrim shemeis avishid yezmanoi. Oish salkai koidem zman letoiv loy. The Bereshim did him a favor. Tzmir, because of me, he should be nifter. Why should you say that? The av anshe chesed yisasu lasmi mechesed behesped. Even if they're going to make him a hesped, and they'll talk about how great he was. There'll be anshe chesed, azat tzaddik, azat amad chocham, v'chule, aber nothing to do with us. As ve'einem oisim tshuva. They don't think about it. That's what the pasuk says. They get together to be maspid. But you have skin in the game. He's your Rosh Hashiva. He's your Gadol. He's shaykh to you. Sha'af If you gave good espedim, the hesped will protect you. Because a bad could come. And here's the bottom line. Shahare, says the Zera Shimshon, Ein misas tzadike mechaperes ela im tshuva. There's a key. If a Klal Yisrael takes it to heart and changes because of the tzaddik that passed away, then his ptira was a zechus for the dar, and there was tshuva. There was tshuva, and there was a kapara, and Klal Yisrael is zeicha. But if Chalila, we don't take it to heart, and we just say, it was his time, then we lose an opportunity. We have an opportunity now. We have an opportunity. The Olam knows what I'm talking about, and if you don't, let me share. 4 or 5 days ago, one of the superstar Rosh Hashivas in America passed away. Rav Osban, Scheiner, who was 76 years old. You know what happened? He wasn't nifter during Bais Medrash. He started the Zman with his yeshiva, the Satelza yeshiva, the yeshiva where Elul had a lot of passion to it. Elul intels igevena heilig zman. Yeah, you know when they make fun of those Litvaks, they say Elul. That's the place. This was the place. This was that kind of place. Elul was a very serious place. Mir Lachem, but they take it very serious. I lived there for many years. It was very serious, but in a healthy way. Rav Osband started the Zman. He gave Shiur. Angefangen in dem Jahr. And he was nifter. After he gave Shiur, went into the room, was learning. I spoke to one of his Talmidim. He said he can shtel zechors for sure. He was learning in the room. Somebody came in to see him at 5 o'clock, spoke to him for a while, left. The next time that came in, found that he had already passed on. If there's something called misas neshika, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a kush, gives a kiss. If you would ask Rav Osban, ein oimen of ne'ames el advar v'shalmeis. I once heard from Yaakov Galinsky, if you ask the mace if he's there, vos wold gesagt? He would say, I was nifter, I started this man, I gelernt mit the yeshiva. And they said over at his levaya that he had learned with his chavrusa, I think it was his son. He told his son, I have a haful of fellow pshat and taisvis. In the next year, I'm going to say it over. That next year, we're going to have to wait for Mashiach to come for Tchias HaMeisa. But he was ready to say over a grace of Chiddush. He had such a simchas ha-Torah. Adam ki yamos ba'oil. Mamish ba'oil shel Torah. And Rav Osban was such an energetic, such an exciting, such a geschmack Rosh Hashiva. I heard today that one of his Talmidim made a siyum Shas, Bavli, and Yerushalmi. He attended the siyum, and 4 days ago, he wrote a letter, a 4-page letter to that Talmud. The Talmud got in the mail today. Today. That means gehalten mitten bin mechazik Talmud. As mazeh omer man, what does that say to us? What does that say to us? If we want to have a shaykhis, that his misa should be mechaper for the dar, that means that we have to take the opportunity, kol echad ve'echad, every single one of us, to better ourselves, one way or another. To better ourselves, probably in Limud HaTorah. Probably because that's what he stood for. That means when you come to a shiur, you have a phone. I don't have my phone on. It's in the car. Sinishda, it's in the car. Maybe that's what you should do. By davening, put it away. It's not on you. If a person is makabel upon himself, he accepts a bisala to do a little bit of tshuva, a little bit better, it goes such a long way. And then the ptira of the tzaddik becomes mechuber to you. You make his ptira into an ilui neshama. The way we do it, the Zera Shimshon Baruch Hashem every single week. The way we do that. Rabbi side, we have an opportunity. Klal Yisrael lost a Rosh Hashiva who shaped the United States of America in Torah. His yeshiva was l'shem l'siferis. It was like they call it here in America, it was a Cadillac of a yeshiva. It was a place where the people learned Torah with pride. It was a place that people learned with a geschmack. They were proud to be Riverdale Talmidim. They were proud to be Talmidim of Rav Osban. They were proud to be associated to the Rosh Yeshiva. So even all of us who didn't learn in his yeshiva and didn't have a direct shaykhis, aber given a tata from Dor. He was a tati of the Dor of so many Talmidim. So let us take this opportunity. It's in Midney, who is just buried in Eretz Yisrael. The family just came back now and are sitting Shiva over here in America. Let's take this opportunity, the opportunity of this Shiur, the Zera Shimshon now, and take this opportunity to be Maila, his neshama, and to have a kapara for ourselves and our families. So we should talk of the Zoicha Be'ezus Hashem. Tichle Shana v'Hilula Seha v'Teichel Shana Be'ezus Hashem Anaya Yo'u B'Chaseha.